little bit hard to see the effect here, unfortunately, just because, we are under such bright studio lights. There's like 6 or 7 of these things surrounding us. But,
はい、
when we
戻
put it
りま
down
し
on
た。
the floor
は
to
い。
plug it in originally, it looked absolutely fantastic.
Oh, プライド紹
Just
介
absolutely wanted to show that off to you.
見とれて
$20 minimum donation by itself. Thank you so much to
裏
the
にい
French
ました。
Prince
は
of
い。
Denver for sending
続
those
いて
out
の
to us.
作品、ゼルダの伝説、スカイウォードソード、カテゴリー、ハープとなっております。こちら解説方いらっしゃいません。わかる方いらっしゃいましたらチャットでアシストしていただけると嬉しいです。ちょっと一応スピードランドトコムの方でちょっと調べさせていただいたんですけど、一応女神のハープかな、ハープを取りに行くカテゴリーとなっております。
And all the other, and Steffi just did an amazing job of just completely customizing this. There we go, showing off the different colors you can do, and
ゲームアドバンスだ。
It's so cool. Thank you so much to Steffi Starlight for sending it out. Yeah, you can change the brightness of the backlight. You can change the color profile of the Game Boy Advance to be like the
ゼ
classic
ル
Game
ダ
Boy
は
if you want,
私
or
は
it could be like grayscale or
スマブラ
greenscale.
でリン
It's super cool, and
ク
obviously
使
all
っ
of
て
the
たな、
buttons
ゼルダ使って
are
たな的
LEDs.
な
You
認
can,
識と、あと
change
ちゃん
them
と
to
原
different
作やった
lighting
のは
modes.
ブレス・オブ・ザ・ワイルド
Pulsing red.
だけなんで
Change it to solid colors
わ
or
か
have
ん
it
ないに
swap
等しい
around.
です。
It
すい
is
ません。
absolutely fantastic.
あ、右上、
$25
フォローナイト、
minimum
あ、
donation
クックイレラ
to
さんだね。
this lovely faith-themed Game Boy Advance, but it's also going to get you entered to win 2 more wonderful artistic prizes here from our good friend Aaron
ス
McLaughlin.
カを
We have a
HD
Zelda
になって
Suga
ムー
Eye
ビースキップできるようになり
cross-stitch,
ま
and
し
from
た。
our
そうです
friends
ね。
over
今
at
回も
Undead Wood Designs, we have this
HD 版なの
absolutely
でスイッ
lovely
チです
Majora's
ね。
Mask wood carving, 2 incredible Zelda-themed prizes,
奏
both
者
a
の、
$25 minimum
あ、
donation.
バリエ
To
ティ
put
パッ
those
クさんです
donations in,
ね。
I'll start with the carving court.
Yeah, please.
I just
実
it
行ベ
it
ス
stares
ト
into your soul. Just stare at it for a second
実
under the
行ベスト
studio lights.
10
It is
Telling you to donate
このカテゴリー
$25
だから、
right now.
it is haunting. I love it. Again, the black outlines
つ
on
い
it
2週間前に
actually like,
自己
marked
ベスト
in
更新されたようでして
like
1
the rest
時
of the
間
mask. They're
36分
actually cut out of
50秒
the
となって
wood,
お
so
り
when
ま
you
す。
see it in person, it really just feels
SRC 上で14位の方です
background
ね。
at you. It is mesmerizing. Huge shout outs to Undead Wood Designs for sending it out to us. And Court, what you got over there?
Yeah, absolutely. So then I have the Sheikah Eye cross stitch here. So the colored parts are cross stitch, but it's also the black background is also it's all a cross stitch, but then put into this gorgeous teal frame to match the eye. And Aaron McLaughlin did a
奏
great
者の方、
job of just
バリエティパックさんは
the cross stitch in the framing is so
え
cute. This is just perfect
3月
frame,
5日です
any Zelda
ね。
fan.
3月5日の
So
違う、
many
日本時間
amazing
3月
prizes,
5日
all of these and more. You can be
午後
entered to
6
win
時
all
頃
of
で
them
す
with
ね。
a
で、
$25 donation to
に
Malala
バイオ
Fund.
ショック
And
インフィ
remember,
ニッ
Court,
ト
that donation
で
is
も
going
走られ
to the
る
Malala
方
Fund.
です。
Yes, every
そ
single
ちらも、
donation, and it's been awesome getting to
そちら
talk
も
with
楽しみに
people
して
at
てくだ
Malala
さ
Fund,
い。
like the interview we had this morning with Lena Alfie of just
バ
what
イオショッ
our
クインフィ
donations
ニ
can
ティ
do
スイッ
to
チ
make the
版、
world a better place, which is just always my
スイ
favorite
ッチ
part.
版で
It's
数
what
々は、
it's what gives me pride. It's what gets me here every week. It's what gets me excited to show off all
スイ
of
ッチ
these
版で
prizes.
たくさんカテゴリーワールドレコードを取ってい
As
らっしゃる
always,
方
if
で
you
す。
have any kind of confusion about what's coming up in terms of prizes, in terms of speedruns, in terms of incentives that you can put your donations towards, because again, all you have to do is donate $25. You're going to get entered into all of the prizes we just talked about. You don't have to do anything beyond that. You can head over to gamesdonequick.com if you're not already there. Check out the tracker because it's got information on all of those
この
things.
奏者の方
and
結構いろいろ
so
アクション
much more.
系
Court, what are we looking
を
at next?
走ら
I
れて
think
る
we're
そうで
finally
し
going to
て、
get the
他に
definitive
は
answer
ベ
of
ヨネ
whether
ッ
it's
タ
there or
2、ベヨネッタ
To get the definitive
3、
answer because we have The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD coming up next. So excited for that, and I hope you all are too.
オクトバストラベラーも走られてる方ですよ。あと、バルハラなのかな ?EA1、A1 は、バルハラって読んでいいのかなワールドレコードですね。
Wow, that was an awesome selection of prizes. There's so many good things. Thank you all so much for sending
ま
those
た、
in.
スマブラ
And I would like to
SP も
announce we have
ともしび
another
走
incentive that just opened up. For a Resogun, there is now an incentive to upgrade the category
と
to
もしび
veteran.
走って
That
い
makes
たり、
essentially the enemies way harder in like every way imaginable. Faster,
よし、
they
ゴール
have
スロ
range
ー。
quicker, they have more
おそら
HP,
くこれ
they deal more damage.
勝ち上がりかな
It's gonna be
勝ち上がり全キャラとかいろいろ走られてるっぽいですね。
We have another very important incentive for the run that's coming up. That, of course,
私見た限りバイオショックインフィニティをメインで走られている方となっております。
again, to remind everybody that incentive is going to be cut off about halfway through the run or so, and our runner of Variety Pack will be able to let you know more about when that's going to happen. We do have a $125 donation from Action 160 who says, all is love.
スカイウォードソード
Thank you so, so much.
HD ビットを設定されておりまして、ファイルネーム選ぶ、またチャレンジとして、今目標金額ちょっと見逃したんですけど、達成されたらギラヒム戦ショーケースかなやるみたいですね。
All right. Hello there. My name is A Variety Pack. And today we will be demonstrating the Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword.
画面来ました。
Joining me today is Pippi, but we'll get
もう名前もう準備できてますね。
Can I confirm, please, that the file name was chosen to be Faith?
Yep, I'm checking in, and yes, Faith did win. File name Bid War.
All right. What a fantastic and apropos name. We will start the run in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
はい、始まりました。グッドラックです。
Ton of different games, but this is the one I've been most recently focusing on. I am joined in commentary by Pippi in a top hat, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
That is me. I am Pippi in a top hat. I do wear those. I run the SD variant of this game, not the HD
めっちゃ転がってますが、
a few differences from what I do.
まあ好きやれば転がる
Show off for us.
感じですかね。移動が早いのかな。
Historically at GDQ, Skyward Sword has been made use of something called Back in Time, which lets you play on the title screen, and it's very, very fun. If you'd like to explain a little bit more in depth what that is.
Yeah, essentially, Back in Time is a glitch that works in the SD variants
ロー
of
リングが初速が早い。
Princess, Wind Waker, and Skyward Sword. It's most broken in Skyward Sword and most famous in Skyward Sword
なんか拾っ
because
た。
it lets you play on not only the title screen but the file select screen.
スタミナ管理とローリング移
That
動。
we can do some little file shenanigans and a lot of comp sci, and it tends to be a very confusing and wacky run. However, this is HD,
みんな回復アイテム
and,
か。
while it wasn't patched from HD, triggering back in
これ
time
はまず
as
ど
the
こ行く
game
んだろ
state actually relies upon being able to soft reset your console to the title screen, which the Switch cannot natively do without homebrewing, so it doesn't need to be patched. It's inaccessible at this time, so we will not be seeing file shenanigans today. Much more just clean gameplay.
Exactly.
ムービー入るとが全回復するので調整しながら移動している。
Hero mode, which means that there are no health drops.
調整が丁寧。
Enemies do double damage. This is very important for a couple of reasons. One, we will need to damage ourselves down to 0 health several times throughout the run. Additionally, our Skyward Strike, which we'll be picking up later, will go further and deal more damage, akin to the final version of the sword that you normally would have as you play through casually. We'll explain the very many times where that actually comes into play.
ス
But
タミナシステムあんの。
we
パ
haven't
ワーと
actually
ブレイ
talked
は
a ton about the run as it currently stands. So let's
逆に珍しいんだ。
movement.
なんか拾った。
A lot of people sort of maligned this game when it first came out.
おまだれ。
Although people seem to have gotten over it with Breath of the Wild. However, in Skyward Sword, you have a bit of a green lime thing that shows up in the center of the screen, and it will go down as you hold down the B button to sprint or do rolls. Something that is a little bit quirky about it, though, is that the final quarter of the line here,
1だからタイトルでいろいろやるやつはないので、エニーパーだと4。
optimal movement, we're actually only going to be refilling the
4時間ぐらい。
final quarter
あ、
of
今
the
回はハープなんで、
at the same rate as the rest of the wheel. Along the way, we'll be picking up these green stamina fruits, which fills up
そ
our
こまで
stamina
かからないのかな。
And a lot of this run, in fact, the vast majority
訓練用の剣、
is being
フ
able
ァーストソー
to
ド
manage how much
言われ
damage
てみれば
you can
確かに。
point. For example, we're actually going to be doing a roll into the
どういうことなんだろう。後で調べてみよう。
we knew that we
タイトルで落ちるリンク
wouldn't
って
recover our
言い
stamina at
方。
the end of the cutscene.
1時間
Yeah,
40
the game does
なん
have
かいる
moments where it just resets your
なんか
stamina
捕ま
to
ってる
full, and cutscenes, saving, like various points, it'll reset your stamina to full. Also, managing when you roll and when you don't
助けに行くんか
is
な
a big part of movement in this game. You'll notice that Variety will usually roll when she starts moving, which gets Link
タイトルで走るリンク
and if you have
どういう
extra
ことな
stamina,
の
you can roll to save approximately
ハープは物語の中盤で手に入るアイテムで、それを入手するまでのカテゴリ
1 per roll.
ー。ありがとうございます。
Hilariously small amount of
あら。
time, so it's kind of
使おうのゼルダですかね、この
a
子。
bit of a double-edged sword.
Yeah, rolling is very strange in this game. What ends up happening is that you can either save 2 frames, you can save 1 frame, or you save 0 frames. So on average, you end up saving probably 1 frame per
なんか捕まってる。
It's very finicky, and if you're sort of starting out learning this game, it is absolutely not worth attempting to manage that,
そういう
micromanage
ことで
that.
すね。
There's a lot of other things to get
後で見に行きま
in
す
your hands
ね。
first. For example, flying.
あ、めっちゃ飛んでる。
Really centers around the sky, as hinted by the title. However, there's a couple quirks with flying that sort of go explained in the game, but also don't.
すげえ。
I believe, and Pippi, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that the game tells you that if you point your bird downwards, it'll actually make you go faster. You might assume that it does by the animation that you see here.
舞台が空中
However,
な
I
ん
believe that's a lie. Is that correct?
That is, yeah, that doesn't actually make you go
普通なんです
faster.
かね、
The
こ
fastest way
れ。
to travel is moving straight, and also those little like bursts of speed
ライドオン。
get. You want to
あー、どうしたらいいん
use
だろう。
those optimally. You kind of want to use them all at once, so that they
ロフトバードという
will refill faster
鳥に乗る練
because
習してい
it
ます。
interrupts the refill process by using them. However, this is the flight tutorial, so it's just a time-based thing. It doesn't really matter how fast or slow you move. You just
移動手段が鳥。
fly around and experiment with the controls for a bit, because we definitely have never played this game before.
Yeah, there is a thing that you can do called fast loft wing tutorial.
なんだなんだ
A little bit inconsistent, so I didn't even bother going for it in this particular case. Another
ここ
thing
の
that this HD version has
スカイロフトっていう木島に
text.
ユートに住んでいて、ロフトバードに乗っている。
At very specific intervals, and the text does not scroll nearly as fast as it is in HD. In HD, by pressing the B button, the entire, as you can see on the bottom, the entire text box does fill immediately, which saves. Man, I wish I
ラ
knew
ッ
how
キー
much time
大
it saved,
将
but it's
的なキャラです。
Ridiculous amounts.
yeah. SD runners love running SD, but if there's one thing that they really like about HD, it's the very fast text.
We're all so jealous. That also means that every language is the same in HD. So the language does not matter. English is just the language we are speaking. So
All right, coming up is the wing
なん
ceremony.
だろうこれ。
Our task is to use our loft wing that we just rescued and recover a golden statue that is tied to
Sky loft.
another loft wing that they are trying to train us with. I believe the
競争
plot is that whoever gets the statue first becomes a knight and graduates. You cannot lose this, thankfully. I was very scared of that on my first playthrough. But you're going to see me manage how many charges I have at any given time. Essentially, you want to follow the loft wing down a very straight path. It
なんか
will
邪魔してきてる。
after a certain time. And you want to make sure you have enough charges to catch up
島の
as quickly as possible.
島のイベ
They're
ン
going to
ト。
start throwing eggs at us. Getting hit by them is sort
独
of
特な
annoying,
儀式でもあんの
not
かな
too bad in the grand scheme of things.
Gosh,
And
that's
now
so rude.
yeah, dirty cheaters.
乗りこなす騎士学校の昇格試験に挑戦中。
fight.
あ、授業の一環なんですかね、これ
Fight。the bird.
今そのまま着地しなかったい
All right, just
ブ
coming
レ
up
ワ
is
だったら
a
武器のなんか持ち替えキャンセルでリセットしなかったらダメージめっちゃ食らってるよあれ
by some people pronounce it. All the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. All the way
なんかおる
land of Skylock that we are currently in. Not much to say. Some rolls.
なんかおる追っかけてる
This is a good place to get maybe 1 or 2 donations in.
Yeah, we've got $25 from unnamed
そ
newbies.
壁抜きしていったけど
Good luck, variety. Here's to seeing the Girahim
世界観違ったら絶対学校の七不思議にされてそう、この人。
when do we need, like, when's the cutoff for this? We have about $2,000 to go. We can get there. We're going to need some more donations from you all to see it happen, and for her to not see it happen.
なんかおる。
I would assume that it would be around 32, 33 minutes into the run.
Okay, so let's get there, chat. We can do it.
いやー、ご
One more
And
thing.
help get us there. Yeah, but to help get us there, we do have a $1 donation for Pacific CC. It says, Love Frame Fatales and Malala Fund. So excited for an amazing week of games. Can we get
リンクの名前がファイになってますが、この
$1 for blindfolds? Let's see it happen, chat.
この人がファイなんだ。うんうん。あれで見たかも。
One thing that we have not mentioned yet.
なんだっけ、スマブラのスピリットでいたな。
Divisive the motion controls were in this game when it was initially released. I personally don't have too many issues with the SD version when I
あ、調整うまいな。
just rarely, admittedly. HD's motion controls I personally find to be a little bit more difficult to use because there's no sensor bar, there's no sort of readjusting for the controller to think of a forward point or forward origin. That being the case,
あれ、あのマークっ
might hear
て
the sound a lot.
マスターソードについてなかった？
That is me recalibrating the motion controls such that it resets a forward point that all of my motions can be tracked against. You will hear it like 100% of the time through this run because they like to desync themselves pretty handily.
You kind of get a trade-off between HD and SD in that respect, that in SD, the motion controls stay synced a lot longer, but it's much harder to resync them if they get desynced. We don't have just a handy button that does it.
なんか抜いた。
So pick your poison. It's up to the runner.
いつものソード。
Gotten the skyward sword, so GG, run is over.
You got a sword and you pointed it skyward? Wow, that was underestimate.
Yeah, exactly. One thing that we just did is
時系列が一番最初。あ、公式サイズでなんか見たことある。時系列が結構バラややこしいっていうか、一番最初がこれで、一番新しいのがブレイワイトは聞きましたが。
normal mode, what this would entail is a sort of short, not very powerful extension of your blade, but on hero mode, it goes farther and it does significantly more damage. On a casual playthrough, your sword will gradually increase in strength as the game goes along, and by playing on hero mode, your skyward sword gets immediately upgraded to the maximum
ゼルダ史的に
you normally have.
は始まりの作品。
Nice.
Free box.
でも使っ
Here's your
た。
box here.
There will be some required bonks, but that was not one of them.
馴染み深い格好になりました。
We have Fletch here who will give us our adventure pack, I think it's
Adventure
called.
pouch?
Excuse me.
Yeah.
ごまだれ。
This is basically the thing that lets us pick up items in this game. One of which is going to be picked up.
マリオカートに出ているリンクがブレワイトをスカイウォードソードにとは聞きましたが。
A fun sort of restriction of SD is that we wind up using 0 items of any kind. So a lot of things like that Girahim 1 blindfolded are not possible in SD because the way we perform the fights is very restricted since we don't have the shield or items to
あ、
rely on.
リットンチャレンジした出てますね。スカイウォードソード HD ギラヒムファイブラインドフォルディで目隠しでギラヒム
It's a really cool fight that takes full advantage of the tools at your disposal in Skyward Sword HD specifically.
Yep. That
もう 7割ぐらいいってますが。
actually, so I'm glad that I picked it up. It actually becomes rather vital in HD just because there's so many enemies that like to
ギラヒム
be
戦を
slightly
目隠し
obnoxious,
で
and so the fact that we have an easier way to take care of them is very welcomed. All right, we have successfully landed onto the surface into the Farron region. We will be visiting all 3 regions, although only the first versions of those. There's a bit of a movement here where we slash past that guy. That Dakubaba will not
とい
attack
うわ
us.
けで舞台が変わりまし
And we're gonna bait
場
this
所
guy
が変わっ
and we can just run past and avoid having to actually do the fights, which is intended
バカバカしいパックフラワーが。
learn how to control the sword, but I would like to think that I'm used to the sword, that I do not need another tutorial.
今のバク転で降りるのかっこいいな。
Bring up also that this is not an any percent run. And this is Harp, which Variety will be playing the game up until the point that you do get the Harp as an item, which is the first 3 dungeons and none of the area revisits or the rest of the dungeons. So we don't skip the rest of the dungeons. They would be in an 80% run, but this is a little bit more palatable of a length for a marathon.
Right. Pibby, can I ask you a quick question as to how long any SD any percent is?
バカバカしいオーラが消えましたが。
1 hour and 9 minutes and some seconds.
Very nice. Now, in comparison,
封印のあれ。
G3 Escape, HD's any percent run is just under 4 hours. That's obviously not the most friendly or even personal.
上昇キルで飛んでる。上昇キルちゃで飛んでる。
Sort of, I guess, have a middle ground between any percent
ぐ
and
るぐる回ってて。
being able to experience the game in some capacity.
おやこれって C 家族の。
as well.
All right, this is the Seal Temple, where we're going to meet a character. It's definitely not Impa.
行方不明になっているゼルダを探すため、剣の女神に導かれて地上に降りて探索中。
Beam of light, we're going to pick up a shield potion, I believe it's called. What it does is it restores 4 hearts. A revitaling potion, excuse me, as well as restores any of your.
妖精の瓶かなあれ。
We're not really going to use it for shield regeneration, hopefully. Hopefully not even for health regeneration. It's not even required to pick up. In any percent, it is required because you need to have enough bottles to pick up some water down the line. But it's just for safety for our purposes. Oh, nice.
The final boss of the game is actually placing that marker on the map. It's like weirdly specific, and if you don't place the marker correctly, she gets mad at you and makes you try again. So
Endlessly until you finally get it.
Yum.
All right, so I should take a moment to explain one of the quirks of the Skyward Sword, or the Skyward Strike, or at least make it a little bit more explicit. I said that it does a lot more damage akin to what you would find at the end of a casual playthrough, and it's very useful for groups of enemies because it's not only a ranged attack, but it has quite a large hitbox as well. So for this fight, we're going to anger all 5 of these enemies who are costing us Goron here, raise our Skyward Strike, and then turn around very quickly and hopefully slash all 5 of them. Very good.
一気に。いや、ソードビーム便利ですわ。
Thinkable on a normal mode run, so there are definitely benefits to playing on hero mode, even though it is indeed more dangerous because you can die a lot quicker.
Yeah, the reasoning for some of those movements is that if you are too close to an enemy, it will prioritize the damage that the blade does. And the blade does toothpick
コン
damage
トローラー操作。なんか違うのかな
bad. It's the first sword you get in the game. Only the strike damage, the like projectile damage, is the hero mode upgraded strike damage. So you want to get further away from the enemies so that you don't have to worry about it
あ、届いた。
giving you less damage there.
We're going to do it again in just a second here with a couple more enemies, but what I just did there was a
ゴ
log
ロン
jump.
族。
Typically, when you push that log all the way to the edge of the cliff where you're supposed to put it, it will give you a little cutscene saying, "Yay, congratulations, you placed it." We can avoid seeing that cutscene by rolling it only halfway there and doing a very precise jump on the.
これなんだろうあー
Very nice.
But-
And we get to meet a new species introduced in Skyward Sword known as the Kikwi. They're very cute. That is undeniable.
ウィリムコン動作だとコントローラーを上に駆け上げて剣に力を貯めるという遊び方が。あ、さっきのあれかな
Donate telling us what your favorite Kikwi choice is, so that we can settle our ongoing dispute over who's the best Kikwi. Neither of us think that
今のなんだろう
this Kikwi
めっちゃ可愛いんですけど
is the best Kikwi, by the way. Controversial opinion. I'm on Team Ulu all the way. Ulu's the one with a mohawk and is fast because Ulu respects speedrunning.
Oh my goodness.
かわいい
No, I'm going to stay out of this battle over who's the cutest. I want to do this. But if you're wondering what to do as you're sending in your favorite kikwis, we are at $3,700 out of the $5,000 for the blindfolded incentive, helped by such donations as $100 from Beautiful Dandy, who says, good luck, Variety. Let's meet that blindfolded incentive, everyone. And I think we can do it. We are making lightning pace on this.
この子たちは名前がお茶から付けられている。
Who says $5 train for Skyward Sword to hit that blindfolded incentive?
あ、かわいい。
Seeing Variety and Pippi at the same time. We're so spoiled.
抹茶
Pippi and I have a bit of history with running this game. We used to, when our PBs were substantially less refined, both of ours, we used to do these races where Pippi would do SD any percent and I would do Harp HD. This is no longer possible because Pippi's PB is now fantastic and mine is good. However, Harp is just naturally a longer category than
臆病で植物に擬態する種族。
Improved. Just I had more ways to
火
go.
山。
All right, coming up is another maligned aspect of this game, which is ropes of any kind. Tight ropes is the first one. Optimal movement for the tightrope is
次
to
綱渡りだ。
wiggle your Joy-Con back and forth,
この足についてるのなんだろう。痛い痛い。
falling off motion, because that is slow, believe it or not. And we have our third of fourth Skyward Strike fight. Hopefully we can get all 5 of these enemies as well. Run past, charge Skyward Strike, turn around,
いいかな今
and
の。
there we go. Very good.
一発。
Good job. Those fights are deceptively difficult, by the way, to get all of them in there. Especially, like, they can hide behind each other and other things and
Ah,
just
what's
hide from your
痛い。
or one of them might just not notice you and be off lollygagging in the corner.
I see what you're trying to do, to try to take away Lopsa's screen time.
Oh, I'm
But
sorry.
Lopsa is my favorite Kikwi. It is slightly more involved in
おお、かっこいい今の。
but it's worth it. Ulu's coming up in a little bit. There's
さっ
another
きの
one
鳥
here
みたいなの
technically named
ちょっと探
Erla.
してるのか
I
な。
don't think I've ever heard Erla's name mentioned outside very specific Skyward Sword conversations.
Early is nobody's favorite Kikwi
植物掴んで登ってきま
because
す。
she's annoying in a speedrun context, but
Yeah,
also
we have to
just
do this
not
very
cute enough.
specific lawnmower motion.
いや、ソードビーム便利だな。あ、またいた。
Right half of the grass, then switching over and then doing a couple spin attacks with Skyward Strikes that prevents Erla from actually moving, crawling away from you, which you can't actually interact with them.
キウイ族なのでキウイって鳴きます。キウイ族
They
なん
stop
だ。
moving. So by doing that very specific set of slashes, we make it nice. We make it so that
なあ。
we get to talk to them immediately. And here's Ulo.
キウイ
Ulu.
族って聞いたことないんだけど
It's。Ulo.
Is it? No, it's Ulu.
I'll be slow just
め
so
っちゃ
you,
ビビり。
I've
it's
always
definitely
called her.
1-0.
I can't read apparently.
Yeah, some favorite Kikwi that is.
Has a mohawk. I play in Japanese.
Okay, that is fair.
たまにしか出てこない種族だった。なるほど。
Ignored this very big
でまた
brown thing here.
飛んで。でか
When we first came here, and that's because Bucha or Buka, depending on who you
ブチャ。
is, you don't actually have to talk to him. He basically gives you the quest to find the other Kikwis, but he does not require you to talk to him before that actually ends up happening. So by rescuing
逃
all
げ
the
て
Kikwis
る、
first,
逃
he
げ
has
隠れてる
to
継
find
続見つけたら教えてあげるよみたいな。あれで全員回収したんか
I
な
guess I don't need to actually give you this quest.
本部茶。
Reward, he will give us the slingshot, which, because we don't get the bow in this game, is actually becomes quite the big player in a harp run.
おまだれ。
He's going to talk to us a little bit about the forest area.
撃ち落とす道具をくれました。
Yeah, we have about 10 minutes left to push for that incentive. Everybody, please get your donations in. We're about $1,200 away, but that's going to be closing very, very soon. I want to see
これ
the
タズンみたいなことやってる。
We do have, speaking of seeing things, we do have $50 from Nux Tenma, who says, this is a Skyward Sword run, but I don't see save files. What do you mean a variety pack is to see what she's doing? Well, let's fix that with the blindfolded Girahim fights. We also
撃ち落と
have
し、
$25 from Rexy. I'm so glad I got to see Variety's practice sessions leading up to Frost Fatales. A wholesome and supportive streamer.
よし。
Good luck with Skyward Sword HD. Donation goes to Runner's Choice.
All right, coming up is one of the tricks that I spent an hour and a half practicing at like 11:30 at night.
今のは
Cube warp. We're going to make use of the fact that the Skyward Strike is
今なんかい
actually longer
いたん
and
ですけど、あ
sort
れ
of
は
warp our way into a cutscene that we're not actually supposed to be able to see. We're going to destroy this beehive first, because otherwise things get very messy. But using this little goblin here, if you stand close enough to him as he's going to try to attack us, we can hopefully
今
use
追っか
our
けてきたの
Skyward
で、
Strike
多分ものボコブリンですかね。
just up top left
痛い、
there.
あ、
So you can get it in a very specific location. And
ボコブリ
very,
ンか
very,
な、や
very
っぱ。
good.
おや、
Normally
あ、すごい
what
攻
we're
撃と
gonna
同
do
時
is
に。
go around this entire place, called, I think, Deep Woods. I don't remember what it's called because we never do it. But by activating the Goddess Cube, the game sort of requires you to do that cutscene. So by doing it early, it sort of warps you up there.
Ah,
which is very
atta.
nice. Hence the name Cube Warp. I'm glad I got that first try because I spent way too long practicing on it way too late last night. And we enter Skyview Temple, which is very unfortunately not named the Forest Temple, although I think everyone calls it that.
Too many of the dungeons in this game, or locations in general, just have sky in the name. It's just
ものすごいに突っ込みましたね。
Bird View Temple. All right. We're going to stand behind that tree so we can hit that switch up there. If you stand a little bit too close, there will be a Dekubaba plant enemy that you must take out. But by standing behind, that's not required.
Yeah, and Chad, this is where the Girahim fight is. So, Variety Pack is going to blaze through this dungeon. We need to get that in ASAP.
え、何
If you want to see Girahim blindfolded.
if you want to see Girahim, but you want Variety to not see Girahim.
あなたはだんだん眠くならぬみたいな。
Him at all.
You got the.
Because
I think
he's
you get
scary.
it.
He does that weird tongue thing, and he's like spooky and teleports around. So I can sense a Variety Pack is going to be really scared. Girahim. So we're just going to calm that
ちょ
fear.
うどいい感じにはしごみたいに伝がっ
Fine, she
て。
can't see it. Nothing scary at all.
All right, we have an interesting roll here. By rolling at just the right angle, we can make it past this spider without having to go around, as the game intends us to. There, I believe the idea of this first half of the dungeon is that you need to hit one switch above and one switch below, which is a cryptic way of saying hit two
いや、
switches.
クモの巣、本当にごい。本来切んなきゃいけないやつなんですか。
Above, to my knowledge. So now we have to go into this other room to hit the one below.
マジか。このリンクは弓使わないのかな。
Raising the water level so that
パ
the
チン
log
コがあるってこと
that
は。
gives us the small key to get into the main room is accessible to us. Rolling through those webs, by the way, is very strange. I have no evidence to back this up. I can only speak anecdotally, but it feels like the requirements for rolling through the web quickly changes depending on which web it is. For example, the webs at the beginning of the temple that you might have remembered, I believe all you need to do is be on the outside edge of those. But for the remainder of the webs, it feels like you need to be
また5位に抜けて
close
る。
to the web before you roll. Oh, hello.
Oh, just walking right on through.
Yep.
Excuse me.
This little spider here is named Nancy Senior. There's a spider in Twilight Princess that does something very similar, and the speedrunning community has named it Nancy.
いきなり弓に線入るけど、あれが入れ。マジで
Technically takes place at the beginning of the timeline. Do a couple stabs and make some more eyes dizzy.
で、また、あなたはだんだん眠くなるみたいなことしてる。
$50 from Hi Hi Odai. It says all Kikwis are cute Kikwis.
あ、ブレワイが異質って分かった。うん。
It is true.
なんか拾
I
っ
mean,
た
I think
な。
we can both agree on that. We can see eye to eye.
鍵拾った
on
な。
things that make fun noises.
All right, with the words, with that small key, we can make our way to the central room of the dungeon.
ここ の
which
鍵
looks
ね。
very big and scary and intimidating, but there's only like 3 rooms that actually are available to us. We're gonna get some extra pellets here just in case. And if anyone happens to
なんか
have
拾っ
any
たな。
skeleton emotes, anything that might imply bones of any sort, I would recommend that you use them in this next fight
なんか
against
パ
these
チンコっ
stalkers.
て言うと動物の檻みたいな認識だったんで。
It's gonna go by fast, so you gotta make them quick. All I'm gonna really do
閉じ込められたな。
is damage onto it, and then basically just dodge the rest of his attacks. Ideally, at least.
ボス戦かな。
I did get $5 from Happy Bear, who says that my favorite Kikwi is the leader who says, and please forgive me, chat. Cracks me up every time.
どうした？
How much do I have to
あ、
donate
どうしたね。
to imitate a quick Kikwi? Pippi, what's your prize? Is it the
my
remaining
prize?
amount needed for the incentive for the blindfolded?
Oh, that
fight?
sounds expensive.
なかなか骨のある中ボスでしたね。
Like a $25 donation, honestly.
これなんだろう。
You heard her, chat.
$25 for Kikui noises.
え、なにこれなにこれ え、なにドローン
Should not matter.
これが
If I play my
ゼルダ世界のドローン
could potentially be a bit interesting. Thankfully, I have a shield potion to sort of offset that if need be. The other thing we got is the beetle, which is one of the items of all time. It basically just lets you point in a direction and sort of move this thing in that direction. We're going to be using it to hit.
ビートルって言うんだこれ。なんかドローンみたいに操縦できて飛んでるすげえ。遠くのアイテムを拾えたりする。
All right.
すげえな。
So, oh, I should mention something about the shield. If you do not need to have the shield equipped for a battle, it is actually beneficial to not have it equipped. There's technically no difference, but the left Joy-Con is the way that you instigate both rolls as well as shield bashes. So occasionally, you may think that you're meant to do a
あ、
shield
上に
bash
連れ去るやつでしたっけ？あれか。
That's never really a horrible time loss, but
あれっすか。
here's
こ
speedrunners and
この作品が元ネタだったんだ。
If you can get away with no time loss at all,
いや、
that's
いいこと聞いたな。
right.
we're just gonna doing a lot of block dragging and eye spinning, so you have a couple donations to read off.
I do, and we're at about $4,000 of the $5,000. We're so close. We're so close. We're getting
あ、
that
そう、私
pretty
は
soon. The boss battle's
あ
happening.
なたはだんだん目が回る。
$10 from Dr. Odin, who says, "So cool to see a variety pack speedrunning at Frost Battles. Here's $10 towards the Girahim fight blindfolded."
最初に拾ったピンクの液体が入った瓶も確か
Colorado.
スマブラで回復アイテムだったはずなんですよね。
Surreptitious Sneak, who says, "So happy to see the HD version of Skyward Sword on the big stage. Thank you so very much."
あ、風が出て相手を押し出す魔法。ああ、あれか。なんか、
Pushing for a better world.
ブシューってやるやつ。
We also have 20. Oh, go ahead.
No, go, please.
We have $20 from FTAB, who says, "Bucks for bonks. I will donate $20 every time Link bonks. Good luck, a variety pack. Have a very good run."
It's not so bad yet. I'm a little bit worried about the shield, if I'm being
ま
honest.
た5位に突破してるよ。
Doesn't actually end up coming
こ
into
こは
play.
律儀に切るんだね。
Also, that's
We
what
have-
that shield potion is for, right? No, not a shield potion. Revitalizing potion.
Revitalize, excuse me. We went
I'm
over this.
sorry. Listen, we don't have items, we don't have potions. SD just doesn't have a lot of things.
All right, this next trick is very
あそ
interesting.
この
Not even
鍵
really
ね。
By moving across
なんか上
this, you don't actually
まがまがしいパックフラワーが。
They're just there to
clearly
be
want to
scary.
bite us. Yeah, just there to look pretty. Quotation marks.
They're aesthetic.
That is true. No, this is a Staldra, I believe its name is.
It is.
Basically, to beat those, you need to well, I can't unequip the shield. You need to make sure you slash all 3 of its heads at the same time, which you can easily do by shield bashing its first attack. Coming up is one of your least favorite tricks. Would you like to describe it?
This is spider jump. It's way less scary in HD than it is in
これは
SD.
さすがに倒すよな。
So you just knock the spider
強引すぎる。
and wait for a certain point in the animation and hop by instead of using an item or going through some shenanigans to actually kill the spider. So this was passive
危なくないですかこれ。
spiders.
あ、落ちた。
It's not a very
What's
difficult trick. It has a pretty wide window, but it almost always looks like you're gonna fail it even when you are well within the window. So it can be a little bit scary. And in SD, it has a habit of borking your files, which is not fun. But HD, we can do things like have autosaves.
揺らすと落ちる。
I'm told. So
落ちる。あ、落ちた。
That was one of the movement decisions of all time. I will say that we were very close to actually fighting the Gearham blindfolded fight, so I'm just going to accidentally miss all these shots totally.
We are under $900, just $880 left.
Oh man,
伝
these
う
ropes
伝
are
う
so
ための
tight.
ツタを用意して、
A little bit.
That's
If
so
only I could just be a little bit
で、ター
faster.
ザンしてますね。
No, I'm so.
どうか。
It's like I barely have time to read this $25 donation from Avienies, who says, "Good luck, variety. Thank you for being not only a great speedrunner, but a great friend, Less Than Three, and Pippi. I love your commentary. Two amazing Skyward Sword
だ
runners.
いぶ情けない声が出たようなリン
Let's
ク。
get that blindfold incentive chat. We are so heckin' close."
I know. You might as well, right? These ropes are giving me a hard time.
Yeah, I think you know, this goes back to what I was saying earlier. I think a variety pack is scared of
捕まなきゃいけないのかな。
which is very, very valid. So if we could just, you know,
どういう
incentivize
操作なんだろうあれ。
you don't have to see anything anymore. At least until
え、
you're
わざと？
listen,
な
these
んかあんの
ropes
か
are
な。
really poorly programmed in
That is
all
actually true.
やっと掴めた。
Actually
頼
take
む
some
ぞ。
time to actually explain how awful these ropes are actually.
に、ああ。
They're just very strangely coded. They have very bizarre hitboxes that constantly move because they're ropes, and grabbing onto them is a nightmare.
It's really fun when sometimes it looks like you should definitely make
Oh,
the jump, and
can
then
I?
Link just like picks left or right and jumps that way insteed of
Bug?
forward.
なんかあんのかな。
Hilarious. Love it.
Goodbye. Where are you going, Link?
We got $25 more from Lucy.
You-
A blind.
え、なんだろうなんだろう。
Yes, please. And $25 more from Helden Subre, who says, "Final push for blindfolded Gearham. Let's go, chat. Save us from these
え、
vines.
なんだろうなんだろう。
They hurt so much."
It's also good to point out that you do not lose health from voiding.
Oh my
this.
gosh,
なんか
yes.
なんか
Thankfully,
バグ技あ
That's
あんですか。
so weird. That's like the strangest thing.
Uh,
Because
th-
every other Zelda game, you lose health for voiding, right?
many
Yeah.
of them for sure.
角度がよ、一
you
本
do
目に
lose
捕まった
health
瞬
for
間に
falling into
なんか狙ってるのか
lava
な。
or,
ああ。
like taking damage as you fall for some reason, but you do not actually lose health for just dropping into a void, which is very nice and convenient. Oh, we're going on a beetle journey.
We are.
ビートル
May I
召
ask
喚し
how we're
て。
doing on this incentive?
I
I don't want to stall the event too much.
Yeah, let's
指の方が早い
go
から。
ahead and refresh one last time here. Unfortunately, we're still
どうすんだろう
about
今度。
$875 away, so I think we're gonna have to call it here this time.
All right, fair enough.
But it is a valiant effort, everybody.
Now we see how many tries the vines legitimately
Oh my
take.
gosh.
いや
That was not a meme. That was me legitimately failing the ropes.
The fun thing about these ropes that you're going to see in a moment is also that the intended way for you to get back with the boss speed is to climb up that wall next to the chest and
ー、お、よかったよかった。届いた届いた。
back. But the ropes are actually
成功
arranged
法
in such a way that
なん
you
かバグ
can
技あったの
take
か
the
な。
ropes back, and it is indeed faster to do so. So, hooray!
あ、
More
これも
ropes.
帰りもやんなきゃいけないパターンですか。
Angle this time because we're trying to go up. So,
き
even
つ
more
そう。
annoying and precise.
まあ、
All right, thank you for your
ちゃんと
valiant
帰れた。
efforts to get the blindfolded fights.
儀式あったのかな。あ、
It is indeed slower, and I do need to make
なんか
a
バグ技あるの
meme
か。
of what it's doing, so I guess it's good that we're doing it fast.
Also, can we get some appreciation of H?
Yes, H, of course.
Those rotational puzzles have the same starting point every time, so it's very easy to do them quickly. You just...
これがギラ姫さんですね。
But this is Girahim 1, not blindfolded, unfortunately. But phase 1 is consistent, that he will always do the same movements every time. So you just kind of bait him with your sword to one side until he locks his
最
hand.
初から剣使いなさいな。
Do damage. This section, however, that Variety's doing now is all RNG, and we have two versions of good RNG and one of bad RNG. If he chooses to pose or to dash, we can knock him into vulnerability. If he chooses to use darts,
ギ
that's
ラ姫さん、一応
and you might have noticed he's been doing a lot of this.
何回か戦うんでしょうか。ここ戦って終わりなんか、
Wait for him to reshuffle his
何
attack.
回か
It is worth
何回か戦ったりするんですか、この方。一応ビット
He just has
ビ
less
ット
space
で
to roll, and you can also knock the
目
darts
隠しで
away before he shoots them at you, which is where a lot of the
ギラ
time
姫と戦うチャレンジをしてますが、どこで戦うんですかね。さっきちらっと見たとき、もう7割ぐらい
In SD runs, we kind of have to
超えてましたが。
live and die by your slashes a little bit more, because a
どうした
lot of those hitting him out of
あ
those
何回かでやっぱ
dashes
戦うんですかね。
specific. But with the shield, you can sort of brute force your way through it.
じゃあ
Shield bashing will knock him out of the pose or the dash no matter what, and allow you to do damage.
器、ハートの器。
All right, that was execution-wise a pretty good fight. RNG-wise, not very good. Do I pick this up? No, I'll be unsafe. Haha, I'll be.
あ、無視すんだ。
If you have lost.
ああ、なんか見たことあると思ったら、スマブラにいた、アシストフィギュアにいた。
Any damage. It is
あの人
pretty
か。
much optional. If the next boss of the game goes poorly, I will pick up the next heart container. We're gonna land one skyward strike onto this very far off, I guess,
またビームってくる。
icon.
おお。
I don't actually know what to call that. Statue, perhaps. And so we get a little bit of cutscene here, so feel free to read one or two donations.
Yeah, of course. We've got $25 from Latria. So glad to be able to donate. Love this game. Good luck. And here's hoping for the fight. Unfortunately, we didn't make it, but
あ、さっきの。
you know, there are still plenty of other awesome incentives to shoot for. We've got coming up soon Resogun to upgrade the run to veteran difficulty. We also have $25 from Mini Mini, who says, "Go
ワープかな、
Variety.
これ。
You're gonna smash it."
All right, we're back in the sky, and P is going to take the moment to tell us that we did actually hit that goddess cube properly, so give us a little bit of an introduction to how that works. You might remember Pippi mentioning that flying straight is in fact the fastest way to get to your destination, as any other direction actually does slow you down. The same is actually true for the beetle, although in a bit of a different way. The beetle item has two
ワープというか
different
ジャンプ
speeds
とか。
depending on if you are moving exactly horizontally or moving up in a direction. So
すごいですね。
it's optimal to move up or down as much as you need to, and then go horizontally for the rest of it.
Also of note is that both when entering and leaving Skyloft with the bird, there are multiple loading zones that will spawn you in a different part of Skyloft or a different part of the sky based on where you dismount your bird or call your bird.
辺埋めてく。
Variety intentionally took the bird over to a very specific part of Skyloft before diving off, so that once she dives and
魔
lands,
法で出てくる
you land
各
in
地
the
の神殿の女神像は
so you have the
各
least distance to actually
ああ、なんか見たことあるなと思ったら、あ
and you'll see,
の目、
intentionally
あの像か。
she will jump off various specific points in Skyloft before calling the bird to try to spawn in very specific regions of the sky, so we have the least distance to travel to get to our destination.
Yes, this one actually does not matter. The place we're trying to go to is directly in front of us.
飛びます
However, when we try to get to Luneru, we need to be a little bit more careful. There's going to be a bit of a gliding trick that we're going to be making use of. Hopefully I get that as well. It's very nice.
あ、すごい。
You'll also see Variety going towards the base of the pillar.
なんかダッシュボードみたいな。
Link has less space to fall, and it doesn't play
通ったら加速するあれ。
you dramatically diving. Oh my goodness, look at you go. It's majestic. We don't care about majesty here. We care about fast. So going towards the base of the pillar skips that animation playing at all.
エルディンボルケーノ。
Alright. This is my least favorite area of the game, Elden, for very, very many reasons. This game, this
何これ
wants to damage you consistently, which is obviously not very good. I've set my estimate such that I can die, I believe, 5 times,
なんかくっついた。
depending on where I die. Hopefully none of those actually happen, but you know,
なん
RNG.
か見るからにはつと。
This place
Okay.
introduces bombs, which we can actually destroy using our slingshot or a sword, which would damage us in the process.
Ooh.
But sometimes you actually do want that.
リセットさん。
There aren't nearly as many intentional deaths in this run as in SD because we don't have to trigger back in time, but it is of note that intentionally dying will warp you back to whatever your respawn point is, and sometimes that is faster. So there are plenty of other reasons why you might want to manage your health or intentionally blow up a bomb on your foot.
Exactly. You might have also seen me do something that
こ
looked
のボ
pretty
コだいぶうるさいな。
and just randomly shoot this random, very cute looking seal in the face of the slingshot bullet. For some reason, when you land on the ground next to it, it likes to play a little cutscene and then shows you that you can't actually progress until you blow it up with a bomb. However, by shooting it in the face with a slingshot bullet, it does make that interaction slightly shorter.
Don't worry, the game didn't tell us, but they are definitely evil.
They are. Alright, coming up is our last Skyward Strike fight, and this is by far the hardest one.
で
There's
また
just
場
so
所
many
変わっ
enemies
て
that we
洞
need to
窟
put
っぽい
on
とこ
screen.
来たね。
Our trick is basically going to be activate all of them and get them all to aggro me, and then hopefully do exactly what we've done before. But there's just a lot more of them
ち
this
ょっと
time.
ボコにめっちゃ囲まれてますけど。
So we need to get this guy ready. We need to wait for his little war cry animation, and then hopefully we get this.
引
Most
き寄せて、お、すごい。
One
Oh,
little
cool.
guy waiting out there.
Yeah, I think that actually would have worked if I had just done the fright, did a horizontal strike. Excuse me, instead
なんか
of
もらっ
a
たね。
diagonal strike. But not too big of a deal. Coming up here, we have the most strange
Scoop.
bomb in the game.
It's a magic bomb.
Yeah, it's a magic bomb. You pick up this
Nobody
bomb,
knows why it works.
and then by setting it next to this pyre or the seal things, it dies and you don't, which we'll gladly take, but we do so confusedly.
で、また上昇キレイちゃんに乗って、
All right, so we got a little bit of a cutscene here with a character named Impa telling us where to go, which is up the mountain, as if we couldn't figure that out ourselves. So now is a great time for a couple of missions.
Of course, we have $25 from Renegade Boss. Let's go AVP and Pippi. Waiting all day to see you all crush this.
なんかおる。
And I think we've gotten enough $25 donations
寺様
here. Like shouting out Pippi. Pippi, I think we need to hear it.
Is it time for some Kikwi noises?
I think it is.
All right.
ファイヤーキースが。解説の方がモノマネしている。
That was impressive.
Kawaii.
That was so impressive. Wow.
Did you know there's just a Kikwi that lives in my apartment? It's fine.
Oh, wow. All right, that little weird interaction we had on the cliffside there was very specific movements.
あー、落ちた。あ
The goblins with the boulders like to roll them down, but when you get too close, they stop their boulder rolling animations and pull out their swords instead. We want to make sure that they're constantly rolling boulders so that they do not
ーここにも薬剤の片鱗が。
the cliff. So by running up very slowly on that mountain, we can make sure that he stays in his boulder rolling animation for the entirety of that segment. We're going to be doing it a couple more times here, actually.
Of note, there's also a lot of stamina management that goes into this section, and Elden in general, because if you stop running up these slopes, you start sliding down them on your
出
butt.
たよ、石投げてくる
we're
ボ
gonna
コ。
see Variety mess with that mechanic a little bit more later, but you do have to keep sprinting and keep losing stamina.
Yeah, it's safe, technically. Like, it's not dangerous to have to do it over and over again. It's just very slow. Oh, these are Mogmas, by the way. I feel like I should have mentioned that. I'm surprised that they haven't been mentioned in very much Skyward Sword media. They're very cool, and they're all very nice, despite what we might think about them being treasure hunters. And now we get our quest to rescue is not the right word, collect the 5 pieces of the key to the Earth Temple. The first of which is in that little cavern there, which we'll get later.
おお、セットアップがうまい。
Is
セッ
in
トアッ
this
プ
little
が
hole, which we have now picked up.
素敵だ。
The third one is under this tower, which for some reason has no one standing on it. We're gonna throw a bomb,
調整がうまいっす
fall
ね。
down, and there's gonna be a little spot underneath.
滑って滑って。おお、す
New magma mitts that we got from
す
doing
げ
that
え。
strike fight. Alright, running back up the
なんか掘っ
mountain.
たぞ。
We're going to collect that piece that we missed before. You'll notice that there are no bokoblins on this platform anymore. That's because those mean guys over there decided to hurt their own friends.
Friendly fire was turned on this day.
Wait for a bit of
なんか
stamina
ずれてる
regeneration.
感じ
It's
かな。
very strange when
あ、理由にある。なんか
cutscenes restore your stamina and when they
5個
don't.
集めるのかなこれ。
Whenever there's a few related cutscene, it never does.
あと2つですね。
Again, it just seems a little bit arbitrary.
Yeah, you kind of just have to learn which ones do and which ones don't when you're learning the movement.
Yeah. So this is Elden Out of Bounds, which was discovered by Copernicus, but only recently made useful by Jade Miniboo. We're going to lead this bokoblin up to this little place here,
え
and hopefully,
僕
with
を
good
引き寄せ
RNG,
てるけど、
run up
何
the
すんだ
wall and knock us up. Very, very nice.
痛い痛い
I。was very kind of that.
It was very kind.
I'm just gonna say Boko.
That skips a very lengthy running section, which so this saves about 35 to 40 seconds, depending on skill level.
あー、すごい滑り台だ、すごい。
You can do one of two things there. He can either raise his sword in a war cry, like you saw one of the other bokoblins do earlier, or he can attack you immediately, which we obviously want the attack to be done first.
ゴリ押しか、すごい。
All right, here's our 4th key piece. And we have
4つ
one
目。
final one,
あと1つ。
which we have the perfect amount of health for. Both of these hits that we're going to be taking are self-caused. We're going to roll this bomb over to this little wall, which looks very bombable if you've ever played a Zelda game. We're going to strike it, causing the bomb to explode, and also the wall to explode. But also us in the process.
There's so many layers to that.
なんか巻き込まれてる。
We're going to pick up the final key piece, and then we're going to run
左
headfirst.
右危ないけど。
We actually set a respawn point at the top of the tower, so we can actually don't need to run all the way back up to the top of the Earth Temple.
デスルーラ
You actually only need to really be near the save statues, if I'm correct, for them to
デスルーラしたな。
like see you or
Yeah,
something.
basically. Is that not the case in SD? I don't remember.
I don't believe it is. There's a lot of differences with how like saving works in general because HD has auto saves and also the amiibos to interact with, and we do in general just save the game a lot in SD because of those file shenanigans. So
Right. I will say that there's a trick that you can do at the beginning of this dungeon where you do the first one of these runs backwards and it saves a little bit of time, but I'm not actually going to end up doing it. What's more important is this trick that I'm doing right now that I might ask.
マグマに落っこってたら即死なんですか、こ
Yeah,
れ。
so those little ropes, if you can strike them and be not just in the air, but over the
でまたドローンを使
while
っ
it
て
cuts the
糸切ら
rope,
せた
it will give you
かな
full control during the bridge lowering animation. So it should freeze your movement there to wait for the bridge to lower again very
あ
majestically.
あ
and
ダメージ受けて足復帰
but for some reason it like treats you as if you're dead if you're over lava. So
ああ
it
意図的に減らしてたんか
actually
な
take away your movement. It's a little bit finicky to get. So major props for getting both of them.
Yeah, that Lizalfos that we killed. Completely unnecessary for us to kill. But
足場に
you're
すんの
going
か
to
なこれ
see be extremely cautious in this part of the dungeon. This is probably the worst thing in this run. This ball rolling thing. Basically,
このリンク
you
体
get
感
to
す
the
ご
end of the dungeon.
すごいな
And the problem with it is, if you fall off, it sort of respawns you at the last point where you had solid footing. And as you're going to be seeing, the most solid footing that we do have
今度
is
爆弾
in
を
fact all the way back at the
あ
beginning of the
岩
dungeon.
壊し
So hopefully we do not fall off this ball, which is unfortunately rather easy to do.
Yeah, also, unlike those fun vine voids, the lava will do damage. So,
We're going to attempt to shoot these guys with a slingshot pellet, which this actually
突
stunned this
戦か
one.
な
Not sure why. That makes it so that
リザルパスかなこれ
okay, this is very no, dude.
ooh,
なんか取った
This is a very interesting fight, but fine, we didn't take any damage. That was my primary concern. Yeah, by shooting the Lizalfos in the face before you start the fight or enter that, land on the fighting platform, what ends up happening is that it skips a cutscene that would normally play saying, "Congratulations, here are our biggest champions, the Lizalfos." So we got to
倒しましたねこれはなんだ
We've now
アイ
collected
テ
the
ムが
bomb
増え
bag,
ました
which, as you might expect, lets us hold bombs. This is actually this Magma's bomb bag. But we're sort of gonna steal it from him. No, he gives it to us. He says he gives it to us.
he also gives us bombs, which he was holding without his bomb bag.
Yeah, no, don't worry about it.
Sense was made by this game. This game makes all the sense.
Alright, so this segment of the game is
自分のタイミング
There's
で
just no way around
い
it.
つも
I'm
爆弾
sorry.
使えるようになった
I typically like to be positive whenever possible.
数があれば
It
の
is not
話です
possible
が
with this particular segment of the game.
Listen, that's why you run
いや
SD.
こ
so you
の
get
リンク
skip
だいぶ器用ですね
Sure. I will say that if you've been looking for a Zelda game to run on the Switch and Breath of the Wild looks intimidating as it did to me, I would absolutely
ただ
recommend
貯め
Skyward
て
Sword
打
HD.
つ
It's not too difficult in terms of execution, and it has a lot of
そ
really
れら
fun
取って
things
く
that
れ
you
よ
can
頼まれたけど
So if
まあ
you were
俺に
looking
あ
for
げるよ
something
みたい
to
な
run and you wanted a 3D one specifically and don't want to wait till Tears of the Kingdom, I would absolutely look into this game.
いやソードビーム便利です
General
ね
Zelda games, 3D Zelda games have quite the reputation for being very broken and trick heavy. And while you do have a couple of tricks in Skyward Sword HD, in comparison to a lot of other Zelda games, the tricks
Link
are
Fit
pretty
Adventure
forgiving
です
and
か
not super volatile. And I think it's a great way to like actually get comfortable with how sort of 3D game movement works and to really improve as a
ドローンに開けさせてもらっ
If you are
て
interested at all, Skyward Sword HD is a great starting point.
Agreed. All right, we're going to be making use of what I was just very recently told, where if you
ど
have
こまで
the
飛ぶんだろ
beetle
う
flying just in one direction, the speed of the beetle is actually like,
あ
way higher for some
裏
reason. So
裏側に行ったのかなこれお
that
開い
makes
た開いた
that particular beetle what's the word I'm looking for? Expedition. A little bit faster.
The great exposition of the flying beetle.
I don't know why they put this here, just to spite me, I guess. There's no reason for this to be here. It's just a way to waste your time.
Yeah, as noted earlier, you might see Variety also hop onto
怖いなぁ。
platforms along the way. That's just to set safe ground, and if this was like a world record attempt, we wouldn't be doing that. But obviously, we don't want to have to redo the
はい、
entire
焼きすい玉ですね。痛い痛い。
if something goes wrong, so it's just a little bit of safety.
I'm not even gonna ask, how this makes sense physically. What
そろ
I'm
そろかな。
saying. So,
とりあえず構えてればビーム打てるって感じですね。
video game, and we did get quite the donation. We had $880 from beautiful Dandy, and
あれ押すのかな。
we are over 2/3 of the way to upgrading the Resogun run after this to veteran, and it
お、
is
乗れた。
excruciatingly difficult. I was trying to invent a new word there to describe how hard this run actually is. It's something you're not going to want to miss. Just a little over $400 away from that incentive. We have until the start of the run to get that in. So please get your donations in. Let's meet that incentive.
Absolutely. I actually got something that I've been dreading
very
to
hard
get if
trick.
I was going to get. I got peg skip, which involves pushing that peg that you saw me roll the ball into the wall, but jumping off of it at just the right time so that I land on the actual platform. Typically, the game wants you to push both of the pegs.
転がってきやがる。
With that little very fast trick, I was able to avoid having to do
危
that.
ねえ。
Not a huge time loss if I don't get it, but it looks cool, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah. This is also what we were talking about earlier. This is called stutter sprinting, that you do not have enough stamina in one stamina wheel to get up that slope. So by spam clicking the sprint button, you can kind of artificially extend your stamina at the cost of some movement speed to be able to get up that entire slope and be able to skip the little alcove where you're supposed to recover stamina in the middle.
All right,
Not
this is the
good.
second boss game. But before we get to face the boss, we have to run away from
またはめるやつかな、あれ。
boulder here, which actually ends up being the boss. Spoiler alert.
いや
I didn't get that stamina fruit
ーい
there.
や
That was interesting. So it ends up looking like a D. So if you want to
ーいや、そうならねえろ。
D's in chat, please do so.
Our second of 3 boss keys in the run.
は
There it is. So I'm gonna need to concentrate for this next fight. Would you care to describe the horrors of Scaldera?
So, Scaldera is a fun boss. Luckily in HD, we actually have the bomb bag.
もうドア開いたから行くか。
So you can actually feed him bombs. We're trying to feed him bombs King Dodongo style when he does his little suck up animation that you're gonna see. But he also is stuck on this stage that is
ゲージ調整うまいな。
very and he likes to move up and down. So
またでかいは転がってる
fail
し。
at keeping him stun locked at the bottom and dealing enough damage all at once, he's going to add on more cycles and move up the stage, and that's so slow. It's a huge amount of time lost all at once. So we're gonna hope for optimally few cycles here.
Yeah, you might have noticed my camera panning up. That was not intentional. That's just my Joy-Cons drifting. There's a trick that's coming up that really relies on Joy-Cons not drifting. So I
また
really
来ましたね。
stay in line at least for until the end of the run. I'll get new ones after this run. It's fine. But
Fingers crossed.
all right.
めちゃくちゃボム集めてましたわ。いやー、また追っかけてきてる。
So Variety's gonna want to hit him with a bomb to make him roll down and trigger his suck up animation. He's gonna just vacuum up those bombs and then is gonna try to deal damage directly
ボ
to
ム
it.
食わせてマスターソードマスターソード。
And hopefully deal enough damage that he will transition phases when we want him to and
ま
won't
たボム。
be running up and down the
あ
stage.
あ、だからさっきボム集めてたんだ。開けました。ボム食わせます。穴目が弱点か。
Yeah. When he's up on his, I hesitate to say hind legs, but you know what I mean.
Spindly long legs.
Yeah. It is, you can't hit him out of it, so you sort of have to wait, and it's very
Yeah.
unfortunate.
が、
Okay, it's gonna be
So
full
can I-
cycle, I think.
And he
Well,
kind
they
of
could have
decided
some-
that he didn't want to take any extra damage there, so he just wanted to add on an extra cycle, which is quite rude of him, honestly.
All right, yeah, getting the up, hello. Okay, doing this fight in 3 cycles is optimal. We have lovingly called it tricycle. I think that more people get quad cycles than they do tricycles, which is very unfortunate.
The nice thing is, though, that at least when you have the bomb bag, he can't soft lock. So he will just
Saki
keep looping
出
through
てきた
cycles
ギラ
though,
ヒム
until
の
you deal enough damage, which
手下みたいな感じですか？
just adds on time
Ima no
every
ko.
single cycle, which is not ideal.
Yeah, I said that I was gonna get the heart container if I was low on health, and I'm going to stand by that promise because the next section of the game is not necessarily as dangerous, but it can be a little bit more unpredictable. So I'm gonna be safe, even if it is slightly slower.
そしてちゃっかりボムを持ち帰る。
Pick up some bombs on the way out. Oh yeah, do you want to talk about interacting with these doors?
The doors are very silly. You'll notice that they have these light cycles where they go up and down. When you interact with a door, it actually doesn't open immediately. It waits until it gets to the most dim of its light cycle, and then it goes through the animation of like flashing really bright and opening. So as long as you don't take enough time for it to transition into a new cycle, you can actually get away with doing quite a bit of extra things before you get to the door, and it doesn't lose time. Which is, nobody knows why the doors had to be cycle-based, but thanks, Nintendo.
All right, we're gonna do a little bit more flying. I would just say that you have time for 2 donations if you have any.
Excellent. And donations we have $150 from Rufus, who says, loving this run of Skyward Sword, A+ gameplay and commentary from Variety and Pippi. Okay. These two have been crushing it all run long, and it's been just a pleasure sitting here listening to it all. It's so fun.
だいぶ結構
I appreciate
We
it.
have another
さっき最後見た
$25
時
from Anonymous who says,
7割ぐらい言ってたけ
"Thank you
ど
for everything y'all do for Malala Fund and for the speedrunning community. Thank you."
All right, so Pippi mentioned earlier
あ
that
プレート全部埋まりま
depending
し
on
た
where you
ね。
call the loft wing after you do a dive actually determines where you actually show up on the map. And this is the most difficult one. The first one was a little bit difficult. I had to hold left 3 seconds. Ooh. The second one, I had to do no manipulation. But for this one, I have to be a little bit more cautious. This one is very easy to miss, so I'm not going to be too upset if I don't. Basically, I'm going to be rolling off the ledge at a very specific angle, holding one direction for 5 seconds, and then holding another direction for 5 seconds. If I do that properly, I will not end up in this loading zone as I did before, but the one for Lanayru. Uh,
次どこ行くかな？
oh, okay, good. Very nice, very nice, very nice, very nice.
Claps for Scary Bird Dive.
That one can look a little bit suspicious because, as you saw, when I called the bird, the Elden pillar was actually was the one that was in view, not the Lanayru one. But thankfully, it all depending on actual location on the map as opposed to what's being visible at any given time.
No, we are now in Lanayru, which, because this is Harp and not any %, is the final area of the game, the final dungeon, I should say. And if this were any percent, there would be a host of other dungeons and stuff afterwards. So if you would like to pick up the run, you get a fun surprise as to what the rest of the run looks like.
We're gonna throw a bomb down here, wait a couple seconds, then push the minecart all the way down. This will make it so that when we hop down here and follow these two enemies, they will explode. That is a little bit faster than waiting for them to not be electric anymore and then slashing them.
A brief life they lived.
All right, 10 more pushes and we can make our way up.
リンクは自分で押すのか大変そう。
It is faster to slingshot this little time shift stone here before getting into the area. If you've played Skyward Sword casually, you'll probably remember these as being one of the coolest things about this game. At least that's what I thought personally. It basically reverts everything back several hundred, maybe even thousand years, to something that looks futuristic, which makes describing time shift stones a little bit confusing because it looks like it goes into the future, although it goes
なんか雰囲気一変しましたが。
All right. Now, the best thing about these minecarts is that you can spin in them. So if anyone has any spin,
鍵台が過去に戻る。おお。
always spin without fail. So please use all of your spin emotes.
ギミックの周りだけが過去の世界。
Spinning is not technically faster,
お
but
そういう遺産あったのね。なんか割ってる。何このリンクの挙動。
Time flies when you're having fun or whatever.
Yeah.
That's not gonna work. It needs to get into the basketball hoop.
Love physics.
All right, coming up is something that I'm actually rather afraid for. If I'm gonna be totally honest with you, this is called brake sliding. Effectively, what you need to do is hold your left stick in a very specific position, and after releasing it, you're going to shoot across the sand. That was an okay one.
埋まりそう。
Yeah, if you're familiar with any other, that bat really wants to get in your way, but if you're familiar with any other 3D Zelda run, brake
軸
sliding
石と
does
いっ
work
て
in
起
a
動さ
lot
せ
of
るとその周囲だけが過去に戻る。
and is reliant upon holding something called ESS position, which is you are actually holding slightly backwards, like just out of the dead zone on your control stick. And it's gonna give you negative speed, despite the fact that you're moving forward. And the quicksand is only coded to reduce
あ
your
あ、また囲まれてる。
you have positive speed. So obviously having negative speed lets us scoot along a little faster and also lets us pass some gaps
届いた。
that we wouldn't normally be able to get across on one stamina wheel because
ああ、なるほど。過去になるってこと。砂漠化する前の世界にして歩けるようにするって感じか。
Like it's unlike those other brake slides that I just did that were sort of optional. Temple of Time Skip is
トロコ使えるようにした。
and also the most necessary of them. So hopefully I don't spend too long.
そしてぐるぐる。
Be 100% upfront and say that my hands are slightly shaky. So maintaining ESS position is not going to be the easiest, but I will do my very best.
到着。
You might remember that before I said that having your shield out when you're trying to run is typically suboptimal because you might accidentally do shield bashes. That all goes out the window with these enemies. Amphilas, I believe they're called. They will do that at you, do that little charge, which you can thankfully shield bash, but it can be extremely annoying if they
爆弾。
charge at you and you do not have a shield. All right, the way that I do this next fight in the past is going to depend highly on which direction this technoblin, as they're called, decides to walk. Okay, that's a good direction. That means I can knock him out of the zone of the past. Then take a bomb, throw one over here. Ah, he's running away from it in time. That's okay. A little bit slow, but safe. And I think we're in a scenario where being safe is a little bit nice.
Yep.
All right, coming up is the Temple of Time. Oh, I should mention, we get the hook beetle here, which lets our beetle now carry bombs, which is, I guess, cool.
I've got a lovely bunch of coconut
Bomb
But
delivery
yes.
system.
Symbol of time skip, which, bear with me, this
It's
might
as
be
big
a
as
little
your
while.
head. Give him a flick, a twist of the wrist. That's what the showman said.
何してバグ技
No, okay, good, good,
ブ
good,
ーっ
good,
て
Variety is
good,
lying
good,
to
good,
Bit.
good,
us,
good, good, good.
said it would take
ビートルが物を掴んで持ち運べるようになりました。ドローンじゃないか
Such a, what's the word? Volatile trick. I'm so glad that I got it. We could have been there for hours, and
あ、やっぱ滑るように
Tells would never invite me back.
なんか武器術みたいなバグ技ですかね。あーなんかあったようなメニュー出してするって動くやつ。ファイナルソーダで見たよう
Would
な
you。explain what we're trying to do here? If you remember.
That's the funny thing is that of course this is past the point that SD does not any longer continue on the intended route, but HD, where you can't sequence break quite as much,
僕の
is going to more or less continue upon the intended path. But I
届くか
believe,
な
correct me if I'm wrong, that we're
ずー
trying
って
to complete 3 little trials to solve a puzzle in various
辛い
areas. And a lot of them are going to rely upon using these time shift stones to go back and forth and change the state of the
届くか
room.
な
any points
Where
that you
in the
definitely
present
know
で
you
また
have
バ
all
グ
of this
使って
quicksand
届いた。
to worry
よし。
about, and in the past, which looks like the future, you don't, and you just have regular
今
floor.
来た方向けに言いますと、現在ゼルダの
Hopefully,
伝説スカイウォーソード
hopefully, this is a
スカイウ
test
ォード
of
ソード
my
HD カテゴリー
casual
ハープですね。
we're
ハープ
also,
なので
have a
ハー
lot
プ
of,
と
like,
回収するまで
gaming in,
のカテゴリーとなっております。
So Variety is picking up these eggs
2% ではないのでご了承ください。
big ampless enemies and trying to bring them to these little like conductor posts to power the door and get into the next area.
All right, we have to do a final stab to get them into the conductor posts, as Pippi called them, which is actually rather obnoxious because there's supposedly a very regular interval to which they will electrify themselves and damage Link. However, in practice, it feels completely random, so I want to make sure that they are
Yeah.
Indeed post-electrification before I decide to just stab them in.
If they're electrified, they will electrocute you and your metal sword. So we don't really want that to
なん
happen.
かゲームキューブみたいな形のブロックが。
And I wouldn't know anything about time loss, especially
まあ
not
その感じで見えなくもないですね。
aimlessly. That would be preposterous. All right, this is why we have the shield. The way that enemy AI works in this game is that if they're not on screen, typically they will not notice you. But
Yeah.
sometimes you can't avoid it.
Generally, once they're off screen by a certain amount, they will stop moving because the game kind of makes everything off screen stop moving in order to save active memory, which is how tricks like what Variety was talking about of if you're in Earth Temple, you can just turn the camera backwards in order
お、すごい届いた。
to save a bit of time because it freezes cycles of things later on in the room. So manipulating what you're looking at can be nice and helpful and save a little bit of time, but is also a little bit annoying because they do move around quite randomly.
This amplet is really after me, so I'm gonna take a little bit of time to be safe.
I feel like this is the only situation I've ever seen where, saying, oh, they can't see me if I can't see them actually applies.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
また軸歪ませて
It's
る。
hilarious.
Oh, please attack. Please attack. Thank you.
He's just hyping it up.
These guys are actually super obnoxious. Mostly because if you hit them in the wrong direction, they will hurt you. But even more than that, that particular one is... I'm gonna wait. That particular one is also bad because you can sort of spin attack him in... you can spin attack him so that the ending blow prompt does not show up because the hitbox for the ending blow is actually in the wall. So I wanna make sure that I line him up in the hallway so that I don't actually have to annoy myself.
電気。なんか装置起動させてる感
Alright,
じですか
that's
ね
2。of 3 done.
今雷当たってさっき炎でしたよね。
One more to go.
他にもあんのかな。
I really appreciate that, despite the fact that this game is being played on the Switch and the original was for the Wii, that all these puzzle rooms are filled with giant game cubes.
Yep.
ゲームキューブって言ったね。ゲームキューブ。
Really quick, I do want to interrupt with one awesome donation we got here. We had $5 from Osmorn, who says, I love Skyward Sword and I love a variety pack. I'm so glad to see her at Frost because her streams and community make me feel better without fail. Variety is great at her speedruns, and I'll make sure to remind her of that whenever I can. Good luck, Variety. Thank you for everything that you do, and I hope you can play us a song on your harp when all is said and done. Your friend, Oz.
Thank you very much, Osmar. Oh, okay.
なんか潰されなかった。
Thing there where if you roll the bomb into the path of that falling brick, it'll destroy that brick that I just destroyed. Wow, that was a terrible sentence. But yeah,
でまた軸歪ませます。
which actually
お
might
お。
end up being a good thing because I do need to damage down
砂漠化する前の。
in the run.
でまた鍵。ロック解除。風？水？
All right. With all 3 of the trials now passed,
あと1個もしかして揃った？
making that a little bit more dramatic than it actually is. I think they're just terminals that we need to activate. Regardless, we'll be dramatic. I'm good at games. We've passed the 3 trials. Now we can open the Linearu mining facility.
It's a Herculean task.
It is. It is. All right. This puzzle's a little strange. So if you'll see that there's the water, there's the thunder, and then there's the fire, which corresponds to placements on this little dial here. I'm not just randomly pushing these in.
なんかあれみたい。ね、
Thank you.
鍵開けの。
This game, like, casually has a lot of really fun and interesting puzzles in the dungeons. And I think, in general, it does a really good job of, like, playing around with its own mechanics. Like, as a casual experience, I know when it came out, Skyward Sword got a lot of negative press for the motion controls, but if we can see past motion controls, it's a really great casual experience, and if you haven't played it, I highly encourage you to. It's a great time.
All right, we're in our final dungeon. Linearu mining.
ファイナルダンジョン。
Lots of minecarts.
We're gonna start by picking up this bomb with our new and improved hook beetle and dropping it into this basketball hoop. There's gonna be a lot of
一
basketball.
応カテゴリーがハープ
Oh gosh.
ハープ獲得までなの
All
で、
out of the way.
このカテゴリーだったら最後ですかね。
That is a
Actually,
fun quirk that comes up pretty often, that they
Yeah.
can do that.
there's actually 3 basketball hoops that we're going to see that I'm going to completely ignore. We'll get to that in a little bit. But there still will be a lot of basketball hoops regardless. This next section is interesting because if any of these little eye worms, I don't know what they're called, drop items in front of the path of my box, then for some reason the boxes have infinite density and just can't be moved. But thankfully, they were nice to me and did not drop anything in the path of the box.
Link can move a full-sized crate, but cannot move a full-sized crate and like a rupee, I guess.
Yep, very, very heavy. All right, normally you're supposed to do exactly what I did before with the hook beetle, but because we have bombs and we have slingshot pellets, we can destroy these crates without having to resort to slow strategies. Nice. Do you want to come down here? Thank you. You don't technically need to kill those things, but they can get in your way, and because getting electrified in this game just feels awful. It's really hard to describe without like you actually getting electrified, but getting electrified in this game feels really bad. We're gonna make sure we activate this save statue here because we're going to return to it later via Death Warp, as we saw before in the Earth Temple. And then with our new small key, roll our way past this Staldra and enter the
ここの鍵ですか。
Well, we have a moment, because we didn't mention it earlier. So, in the SD version, there are only motion controls. In the HD version, button controls are an optional play variant if you want to play and are not... Oh, and are not a fan of motion controls. However, there are some inputs on the button controls that
で、爆弾をドローンに運ばせて、いいね。
consistent to perform. So generally, it's optimal to use motion controls. That being said, the button controls are fully functional. They do work.
軸歪ます石かな。石突撃させて。
Just because they're...
Oh.
By the nature of this run, you want to make sure that you have access to all the directional sword slashes at all times.
ちょっとメカ難しくなったな。
That goes to the button controls of the HD version. It can be a little bit difficult to implement, or at least execute, if you're new to the button controls. So I would encourage you to try...
ベルトコンベヤじゃないか。
However, like Pippi said, the button controls are fully functional and will absolutely serve your purposes, should need be. There's a...
なんか出荷されてる。
Which basically, as you might expect from the name, shoots a B menu. For some reason, he's not paying attention to me, but I'm going to... スタミナ回復の石を取る。監視カメラが殴った。 What he can do is very unfortunately, oh gosh, beam you while you are attempting to pull down that lever to open the door. Thankfully, he did not do that. All right, this little room here involves a lot of jumps, and we're going to intentionally take damage on this Froke enemy, I believe it's called.
痛い痛い。体力危ないけど大丈夫かしら。
Exactly. This will make its way of 1 health, so that the next time we take damage from our self-inflicted bomb, we will go back to that save point that we set all the way back at the beginning of the temple. But not before we pick up this very useful and cool item called the vacuum cleaner.
これ風吹くやつ。
You know,
例の壺。
This is definitely one of the items of all time in the Zelda series.
it is. I have some personal gripes with some of the
まあ多分デスルーラですかね。
for not getting a ton of use, but I must say that the gust bellows, which just blows air, sort of blows them all out of the water in terms of being. I see. That was not intentional. I promise that was not intentional. I am not that.
I'm glad Pippi and I are on the same
こんな
page.
感じなんだ。
Yeah.
I was gonna give you credit for it. Come on.
I honestly should have just taken it.
ああ、さっき体力危なかったの、そういう。
The gust bellows, we can now
調
blow
整うまい
balls of
な。
dust away. Wow.
You also can clean somebody's house with it.
You can. That's
And blow fans. And I think that's the end of list.
pretty much.
またメニューバグやってる。
Run, so if I can get this, we're scot free.
届くかな。
All right. No
そうき
more
ました。よかったよかっ
shaky hands compromising the integrity of the run. If I
Yeah.
mess up now, it is all my fault.
Brake slides, depending on how close you are to like that just outside of the controller
た。
dead
ど
zone
う磁石じゃなかった。
you can pick up more or less speed from them. So a
扇風
good
機。
brake slide, you have perfect positioning, and you
当たればいいものなんですかね。
a kind of iffy brake slide.
あー、
I will say
縦跳ね返した。
only
パリ、いわゆるパリかなこれ。
brake slide, so pretty darn good.
Yeah, generally speaking, that was actually pretty good. Please don't hit me. Centrobes are probably the worst
す
enemy
げえ。
because they can just like snipe you from halfway across the room. I've had runs that there's another room in this,
で、監視カメラが1個壊す。
and it just I was low on health, so which is good because you need to do another death warp. Spoilers, but I was low on health, which is good. I was feeling
ま
great.
たし
We
まった
were
ぞ。
on a PB pace run, and the Centrobe just decided to snipe me from completely across the other side of the room, and the run was dead. Hopefully that does not happen. I have thankfully saved the potion that I had, so if I end up finding myself in that position, it's not going to be as hazardous as it normally
あ、最近流行りのあれ。
Pushing blocks and blowing air. I do want to remind everybody that we do have an incentive
捕まれば
for the
OK って
next
こと
run
で。
that's coming up very
出ます
soon. We want to upgrade to veteran.
ここはパチン
The
コで
Resogun category, it's
軸
extremely
油が増
difficult.
せます。
So difficult, the runner says. Maybe
お前初めからいなかったんだ。
because it requires so much focus. We're a little over $300 away from meeting that incentive, so please get your donations for that. It's coming up soon.
That enemy we just destroyed was called an Armos. Probably one of my favorite Armos designs in all of Zelda. It's a little bit gimmicky, but I think it's still fun. Effectively, you need to blow the magnets that form a propeller on its head and will reveal 2 weak points. One of them requires a slash, one of them requires a stab. You can ideally do it in one cycle, but you know, motion controls be motion controls sometimes, so sometimes you don't get it, but that is okay.
あ、これはスーってやんなくても間に合うところか。
Here we get another astounding example of if the enemies aren't on screen, they simply do not see you. There were like tons of enemies that were around me.
僕の時は一人称視点か。
Electrifying themselves to be threatening, but because they were simply not on screen, I was not in any danger. You might see that I'm running out of stamina on the top right there, this time on purpose.
すげえリンクの視点こんな感じなんだ。
Yeah, so for some reason you have the same movement speed if you are crawling while not sprinting
cool.
and crawling while completely out of
いや、
stamina.
怖っ。
So it doesn't actually cost any movement speed to be out of stamina, so you can just completely sprint for as long as you can. I don't know how you sprint while crawling. Link knows somehow. And then just, like, it's as if you were just walking normally. There's no time loss to it.
で、例の石だったと。
Coming up is a very interesting trick that lets us basically skip a large portion of the dungeon. I will show you as we go.
本来なら壺砂払って針が出てこない道歩いていくとこ。あ、奏者だから覚えてるんですね、やっぱ。怖え。
So we're next to the boss door when we need to be. We're going to pull this minecart over, which just so happens to have a
実
time
質心眼チャートじゃないです
Only doesn't
か。
have a time shift stone though. It also has the property of when it's activated, it moves to the other side of the room. The other side of the room is where the boss key is. So we're going to do a very specific setup here, where we drop a bomb. That's not going to work, actually.
で、バック。
We're going to drop a bomb in this spot here, and do a bit of a jump slash onto the minecart. It will blow up the time shift stone and not us, meaning that we can just sort of take a ride. Link's left leg does
Look at
crazy
it.
things here because of the weird collision. So
The game does not want you to be up here, and it's very tenuous staying up here.
本来なら乗れないトロックの上に乗る。 おお、ゴリ押しですね。
Link goes, oh, the side, and just falls off. So he can vibrate his leg as much as he wants. We're not gonna stop him.
Absolutely not.
すげえ。
All right, this is probably my favorite room in the dungeon. It also just so happens to be the most volatile. This is what happened. This is where the event nice
痛い。
that I talked about happens, where I got sniped from halfway across the room. Hopefully this does not happen. I have quite a bit of health. We're going to call this platform over here for later. And do some more basketball. Not before taking out these two bats that will follow us. I think that was strange. All right.
爆弾を入れれそうなとこ突っ込んで、
Number two. And we're going to pull out our gust bellows to blow
あ、
up
なるほど。
this completely conspicuous
次は足。
or inconspicuous.
あれは石かな？
I guess. I'm trying to be sarcastic. I'm chipstone covered in dust. Now, if you're very fast, what you can do is you can actually run across this conveyor belt before the
ストップ
bomb
が
goes
前。
off to time chipstone. But if you don't, it's extremely awful. So I'm just going to be a little bit safe there.
爆弾
You might see three
を
basketball
動
hoops
か
in the
す。
distance.
風で動かす。
We will not actually be activating any of those basketball hoops. They are, for some reason, extremely permeable to bombs.
あー、また監視カメラが。
See what you will see me do is
あれに乗るの
basically
かな？
grab onto a bomb with my beetle, and then push it into each of the basketball hoops in a very specific order.
あれですか。カウシューティングなんか聞いたことあるな。
They're the hitboxes that are on the other side of the statue that you'd usually have to knock down with throwing a bomb in a basketball hoop. Are
で、これはドローンに突撃させる。あれ失敗？違うか。
So
Good for
Sorry,
us, but a little
yeah.
bit awkward.
これも爆弾。
sorry, sports fans.
これもまた爆弾
Match
の
has been canceled.
Yeah, you'll see the
ドローンに持たせる。
treble clef looking thing in the front of these walls. If you hit it on there, then that's too
これで全部やったかな？
distance. Oh god, it's gonna shoot me.
開けま
I'm
した。
gonna be a little bit careful here. Yeah, so the hitbox is too thick there, so it will not let you activate the hitbox from there.
まあ、デスルーラみたいなことして。
All other places on the walls are fair game. We have two armoses here. Nothing too difficult. And we actually have a little bit too much health, so I will
そういう
damage
倒
down
し方。
on the armos.
痛い。
We're taking him out.
レバーで弱点を露出させて。いいですね。
Get ourselves down to 1 health.
体力調整うまいな。
And pick up the
で、
boss key for this
あ、
area.
出たよ。またデスルーラだ。
We have one more boss left, and then one more very long traversal section. Because this game loves its drama.
あ
So if the first boss key spelled out H, and the second one spelled out D, the final one will spell out 3. My community, hashtag that I
そんな気はし
decided to use
ま
for
し
this
た。
one is HD3. Just in commemoration, I guess, of a very important set of acronyms. All right, we must activate the time stone before in the boss door. So we're going to this one. Okay, this boss key is always very difficult for me. Okay,
おスモック
and we face now against Moldarok. There is a very, very fast way to do it, a very slow way to do it, and a midway point on how to do it. I will be doing the midway point. You're going to basically see me shield the eyes, or the claws that house the eyes, which are, in typical Zelda fashion, the weak point of the boss. After doing so, I will hit it once. However,
いやー何これ
but afterwards, I can actually snipe it with a slingshot pellet, which will reset its stun.
なんかサソリみたいな。
That's the first claw done. Ideally, you only need to use
案の定目が弱点っぽいので、
nice miss.
左手は
You can get
左の手はとりあえず壊しました。
but it requires some very precise timing that I'm not going to bother with today, I think.
もうあと1回。かな
Sometimes being fast is about being consistent.
Oh, and that was not the end. That's okay. We also need to be pushing him against the wall, actually. Reason being that after that, his eye will open in the front and we'll
両
do
方2
4
個壊し
stabs.
た。あとは
And、because he's against the wall, he has nowhere to retreat,
お、どうした
which means that the fight is over very quickly. That was a very, very good Molder Rock fight, actually.
It's got a bit of a
Ooh.
winky second stage there, but it's kind of satisfying to watch.
So that's the final boss. I would say that time comes in like maybe a minute 30. I will let you know before that actually happens. No reason to get this heart container, but I'm gonna get it for the fans out there.
あー、なんで、何あー、
Really
落ちてく。
die-hard heart container fans, let me know.
So any percent of this game is
あー、
very
砂、あー、
volatile.
逃げたり
There's
しない
a boss that is called Levias, which flies around and you have to use your
し
loft
たり
wing
す
to
るけ
control
ど、
it.
それやる前に
When you
倒した
get
って
hit,
こ
it
と
takes 2 damage.
すごいな
It's very difficult, and when I do any percent runs, it's not optimal by any means, but when I do any percent runs, I collect every single heart container that I see because I am so scared of dying to Levias. That fight is a bit brutal.
トロッコ乗る
I'm
か
gonna
と
do
思った
exactly what I
ら、
said before by making the beetle go up as high as I need to.
今度ドローンで
and
何
use
やるんだろ
the
あれ
faster
高かった
horizontal
のか
movement speed to get to our destination.
めっちゃ
We're
難
gonna
しい
do
技
one
だった
last
な。
spin in the minecart, so if you got the spin emotes, please use them.
あ、そろそろハー
Time
プ
will end
回
on
収
the
か
fade
な
out after I exit the linear mining facility.
もうそろですね
It's。nice of Skyward Sword to give us this big dramatic outro too.
Yeah. It feels
また
like
回
something
っ
that
て
would
る。
be the end of the game. Despite it being the end of the run, the game actually has several hours left to go.
ぐるぐる。
This is an incredible end to the run. Like, wow. I can see why you like this category.
Yes, it's not as like flashy necessarily as SD, but it has so much to optimize and it's really, really fun.
てっきり回って動く、
3, 2,
動かすトロッコなのかと思った。はい。あ、タイムストップです。グッドゲーム。
pretty proud of that.
GG's. Very nice run.
I guess I have time for shoutouts. So I'd like to, again, shout out the Skyward Sword community. You can find the Discord on...
ああ、ハープってそういう。
speedruns.com. It's a super welcoming community. It's a lot of
ゼル
people.
ダさん
Everyone there is willing to help, and there's like glitch hunting and stuff like that. There's a tournament for SD going on right now. a lot of events are happening all the time. It's a super great community, and without them, I would not be able to be where I am today, running this game for you all.
またヒラヒムさんおる
Of course,
よ。
shouts to Pippi for being a fantastic host.
No, that's tomorrow.
So sorry, fan. Yeah, a fantastic commentator, filling in all the spaces that I had nothing intelligent to say for her.
That's a lie. You had so much to say. I'm sure you would have been fine.
And yeah, I've been a variety pack. I have another run coming up later in CrossFit Tells on the final day. I'll be running Bioshock Infinite. I run this
あ
game.
と
I run
パスした
Bioshock。Infinite
あ
on
そういう
Sunday. So if any of those are your bag, you can find me on Twitch as well. Thank you so much for having me, and hope you enjoyed yourself.
Thank you so much,
こ
Variety
のムービーも
Pack.
いいパタッと飛ばされるけど
A treat to see. Definitely the first time I've seen this specific category. I love it. And we're setting up for our next run.
というわけで
And we still have an incentive to meet there to upgrade the run to veteran difficulty. It's something you're not going to
ス
want
カ
to
イ
miss.
ウォードソ
Keep
ー
your
ドはこ
donations in. There's still a little bit of
ここまで
time
か
left.
な
I just refreshed. We're or not even that, $214 away from this. And
ミ
donations.
ートが達成されなかったっぽいけど
Donation from Matt Lord, who says a Zelda game that's played
けど
quickly
じゃ
by Variety and here Pippi. No back in time.
お
with the
疲れ
OG.
様でし
This
た
is
ここまで
Skyward Sword HD. Thank you so much.
でゼルダの伝説スカイウォーソードハープパーセントとなっておりでした司会も私も司会ここで交代となりますはいここまで、私手ゆきでお送りいたしましたでは次の作品ございの準備参りますでは失礼いたします
But yeah, I kind of want to see that. trust me, it is something you want to see. We also have $10 from Umizer, who says, good luck. And with that, I'm going to be signing off from the host desk. It's been a pleasure. I've been fan_TV. You are great. Go ahead and get that incentive. We're going to go into a quick break. And by the time we come back, you're going to be taken care of by the wonderful Tazel. And I want them, when they come back, to see that incentive met. Have a good one, everybody.